are listening to the Pathfinder Guru Podcast, where we help you to become a greater leader. Join us as we take the Advent message to all the world in our generation. So, are you ready to become a guru in this ministry?
Attention. Welcome to the Pathfinder Guru Podcast, and thank you very much for joining us. It has been a while since I have sat in this seat. I have pressed record. It has been a while, but I thank God for His mercies and the reflections that I have heard throughout this period that I have been going through. God has been really faithful. The love of God has been shown in my life and in everything that I do. Because when all is said and done, once you trust the process, once you trust that God will make a way, at the end of the day, He will make a way. Hence, I'm sitting down today and I am pressing record. When I started this podcast, it was on reasons that I had something to share. I had something to give. And at the end of the day, the biggest one is that I wanted to preach what I live. And I was in a period whereby I've noticed that I was drifting away from what I was living, in a sense that I was preaching what I was supposed to preach, but I was not actually living what I'm supposed to be living. And I remember when I was speaking in one of my episodes, I said that I am glad that God has showed me that when I put Him first, He will make a way. And I stopped for a while because as much as I was in the ministry, working in the ministry of God, in the Adventist youth ministry, there was something missing. And that particular thing I've been always preaching, which was we need to serve at local church. Now, when all of these things were happening around me, I was surrounded by hype. I was surrounded by other things that I was doing within the ministry. Best believe there were good things that I was doing. But because of the neglect that I had on the local church part of it, it made me to reflect. And I thank God it happened as soon as I could have noticed. Hence, I decided to take a step back and really invest my time into the local church. Because I cannot come into this podcast and say to you that you need to stop spiritual tourism. But on the other hand, I am suffering from such a thing. I cannot come into this podcast and say it is possible to have a successful club, but I am not putting the teachings that I am preaching out there into this podcast, and I am not applying them. Hence, I took some time to really reflect and actually work in the local church, ensure that things are working well. Because as much as I'm a leader, I am a leader for my local church. As much as I'm a master guide, I need to ensure that things are successful within my local church before I spread my wings and fly. Because it is very much difficult to get caught up in the flying part of it, not realizing that where you have left, which is the ground, things are not going as they should be. Hence, I just took some time, it was a bit of 2 months or 3 months, to actually stabilize where I knew that because God has granted me this knowledge, God has given me this blessing of becoming a leader, of able to solve problems and all those things that God has given to me. It was now my mandate to apply it even at local church. And I'm so glad and I praise God for that, because I could not bear it, this feeling of to say, I'm out there, day in, day out, working for the ministry, serving other clubs, but I am letting go of my very own club to suffer. Hence, I decided to take a break on certain things, to limit myself on certain things, because at the end of the day, when other clubs are being invested, I have children that look up to me. Children that know that we have a leader in this person, and if they do not go to invest teacher because of my negligence, or they do not able to attend certain camps hosted by the conference or the division, and they cannot attend that, but I am there. What am I saying? What am I teaching? Because as much as I am preaching that it is possible, but I am not doing the very possible at my local church. So that's something that I wanted to record. I was very much burdened. I couldn't even stand and come and record. Not because I had no ideas to share, not because my mind was not filled with new ideas that I wanted to impart, but because what I was preaching, the knowledge that I was passing it on rather to people, I could not take it and apply it at my own local church. So it is very much important for us to understand that charity begins at home. Charity begins at home. When you are an elder of a church, charity begins at home. Your home needs to reflect what you are doing, even at church, because charity begins at home. Hence, I took a break from the podcast. Hence, I took a break on certain things that I limited myself to say, you know what? Let me spend some time and fix my errors, because I am not a perfect human being. I love the ministry. And once you love the ministry, people see that you love the ministry, and you go with the hype from church to church, program to program, event to event. Then you lose sight of the important thing of making your own local church a fun place to be, making it a safe haven for your adventurers and pathfinders. So it is with great confidence and with pride to say, I am back to impart knowledge. I am back to share even things that I've learned throughout this process of actually not going from program to program, event to event, but spending time at the local church, ensuring that things are running smoothly. And I've seen progress. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you have seen that I've tried to do certain programs, initiate certain things that should have been done, but I've been delaying. But because God has been faithful, the delay was not danger, because I caught it fast. And because of the skills and the knowledge that God has imparted me with, I was able to turn things around. God has called us, and we are different in talents. But one thing that we need to understand is that once we forget where we come from, once we forget the basics, then we end up in danger. Hence, we have a lot of leaders, once they lose their positions, whether at conference level or at district level, when they come down back at their local church, they see the damage. They see that they cannot, or they feel like running away from this whole situation because they have failed to do what they were supposed to do. But once you are like me and you realize the mistakes and you see that I've been moving from program to program, event to event, but my children at my local church are suffering, it was a way of reflecting and changing. And you are able to do that, as I am doing. I took almost 3 months working at my own local church, and the improvement is beautiful, because God has showed me to say, as much as you can fly up, remember your local church. And that's something that has been a beautiful feeling, a beautiful thing that I have actually done. Come along with me into this new me that I've realized that as much as we love the ministry, we can also damage it as well. But for now, as we are trying to reach the standard of heaven, the excellence that we are hoping for, we are dismissed with this in mind.